Dominica, island country of the Lesser Antilles in the Eastern Caribbean Sea. It lies between the French islands of Guadeloupe and Marie-Galante to the north and Martinique to the south. The country has been a member of the Commonwealth since independence in 1978. Dominica has been called many things: unspoilt, a treasure, Cinderella of the Caribbean, nature island of the Caribbean, nature island of the world. Three things always come up when talking about Dominica: nature, beauty, and kindness. Yes, Dominica is natural. 285 square miles of 70% forest cover, 365 clear streams, and clear blue seas. Yes, this is Dominica, the nature island of the Caribbean. Many knows it for its picturesque waterfalls, volcanic mountains, tropical rainforest, hot water springs, and the second largest boiling lake in the world. It is so luscious green that many call it the nature island. Dominica attracts everyone. Those who enjoy our Creole festival, carnival, hiking, adventure, snorkeling, and diving, or simply want to enjoy the beauty of the island. But that Dominica we knew changed after Hurricane Maria devastated Dominica on September 18, 2017. Category 5 plus Hurricane Maria slammed into the island, packing winds topping speeds of 150 miles per hour, felling 40% of all Dominica's 40% cover of trees, 70% of all Dominica's leaves, swelling Dominica's 365 rivers, and thousands of ravines into walls of deadly rolling water. Hurricane Maria had a direct hit on us. Dominica looked like a bird that had been plucked alive. Many wondered, would Dominica majestic mountains, hills, and valleys be ever clothed again in unbroken olive green? Would her streams be clear again? Our luscious green nature isle was gone. Wind, water, and landslide destroyed the agriculture and infrastructure, and some 19,000 out of a pre-Hurricane Maria population of 71,000 left Dominica for good. But that was the old Dominica. Then, first the birds, finally the resilience of the forest, and what an inspiration nature was. 2 years later, Dominica is rising like a phoenix from the debris of Hurricane Maria. This is the new Dominica, and she is more beautiful than ever. The old Dominica was known for her natural beauty. Now, at last, man-made beauty. The beauty of built-up space is worthy of taking her place, right next to the natural beauty of God's handiwork. It is not only beauty that the eyes can behold, the beauty of form, line, and colors. It's also a higher order of beauty, the beauty of social justice, the beauty of inclusivity, the beauty of resilience. This Caribbean island, Dominica, is on track to become the world's first hurricane-proof country. When Hurricane Maria destroyed Dominica in 2017, the devastation spurred an ambitious goal to fully adapt to climate change. Tropical Storm Erica wiped out an estimated 90% of Dominica's GDP in 2015. By comparison, the World Trade Organization estimates that Hurricane Maria cost Dominica just over 2 years' worth of economic output. Financial experts anticipate it will be roughly 3 more years before Dominica can return to its pre-hurricane state.
The Dominica which I saw over the internet and over the television, I couldn't believe that that's the Dominica that I am seeing now. It's like, you know, it's like when you look at Dominica, the only thing that was making you realize Dominica, I would say, had a little shake for me, was just the houses that was uncovered, you know. But it's like Dominica bounced back into me in less than half a year. Dominica was managed to bounce back. Yeah. And when I came to Dominica, I was expecting to see Dominica squeeze, like you take a piece of paper and you crush it, you know. But when I get in Dominica, I see roads open, not half of the roads, you know, all roads open. Telecommunication is up and running. life is going on like as if nothing will happen in Dominica.
Dominica experienced one of the most devastating hurricanes that anyone that was ever recorded in history that went through the Atlantic Ocean, and Dominica, fell victim to that hurricane. 250% of our GDP was gone. Homes were destroyed. Roads were destroyed. Everything that you can think about got impacted by this hurricane. When you look at the city of Roseau, the day after the hurricane, it was heart-wrenching. Everything was in total disarray. But the Prime Minister wasted no time, deployed heavy equipment, and cleared up the roads, both in the city and the outskirts and in other parts of Dominica, to make sure that we have, vehicular traffic, make sure people can move around, in order to jumpstart the economy. Not only did he do that, but he continued those programs and projects that were already on stream pre-Hurricane Maria. For example, the housing program that continued full speed in terms of the construction. Look at the homes we had in Portsmouth, in Cassibus. Those homes we continued building homes. The road resurface program continued. The China Friendship Hospital, Dominica China Friendship Hospital continued. The stadium, Windsor Park Stadium, got impacted. That too was being repaired. Our state college. So the government, aim was always to look at, the best interests of Dominica and Dominicans to uplift the standard of living and livelihood in Dominica. That's what is being done. We were given 20 years. We were told that it would take us 20 years for the country to get back to its original state, or where it was pre-Maria. And the government did it in 2 years. Some people call it magic. I call it good and prudent and efficient leadership coming from the Honorable Prime Minister.
Well, we're here at the Belleville Chopin housing site, where we're constructing some 341 housing residential units. As we all know, this project has been financed with funds from the Citizenship by Investment Program. And this is primarily for the relocation of the residents of Pidit Savan. But there are some of our friends down in Fishland and some other villages in the Pidit Savan constituency who will benefit from these units. These are 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms and 4 bedroom units. They all will be painted and tiled with kitchen cupboards, outfitted the kitchen cupboards for the residents. This is a massive project, as you can all see. Work is still ongoing. There are several structures that have been completed, tiled and everything's in place. Water, the telephone service are there. We're working with Dominica to make the necessary electrical connection. Obviously, we were hampered by the Hurricane Maria. Otherwise, this project would have been completed. It was already on schedule at the time Maria struck. But we lost several months because of this project. So we're here visiting the cabinet along with senior public officials to get a sense of how things are going, to make our own assessment of the progress, and to get a clear understanding of the completion dates for this project. It's not the only project. This is a massive project. Really, the biggest housing project the country would have seen in its entire existence. Not only over 40 years of independence, but in our own existence and so forth. and it's occupying well over 55 acres of land. And it's a massive expanse of land that are being used. And you know, we're in the east, doing a similar type of housing development in the east. We're talking about Dillis, Laplane, Grandfont, Castle Bruce, Saint-Sauveur, Portsmouth, and also Cotton Hill in the Cottage constituency. And also we're doing in Roseau, in the Pound area, and also on the riverbank. We'll be doing some housing units on the riverbank, and possibly in Boyd's Avenue. The state acquired some land there some years ago when we were building the stadium. So the state will be demolishing these old structures and putting some apartment units there. So this is an onward march, to build 5,000 homes for our citizens to benefit from. These are tangible, practical interventions by the government. And it means, therefore, that every citizen of our country will continue to benefit directly from the proceeds of the CBI funds. It is completely financed by the CBI funds, utilizing the funds for the greater good of the country. This is what in Dominica, everybody in Dominica who got assistance from the government to fix their home after the hurricane, every single $1 came from the CBI funds. All of our students studying overseas are getting their education, especially post-Maria, from the CBI funds. The small business support, the infrastructure of the country, all of the Bailey bridges you've seen reconstructed, all of the concrete roads reconstructed, funds from the CBI. So when people are asking, where my money, where my CBI money? These are the things. So when you watch up and you see a roof, call it CBI roof. When you're driving across the Bailey bridges, that's CBI roof, CBI bridges. And many Dominicans who will call will have one of those homes, not only in Bellevue-Chopin, but the rest of the country. This is CBI funds. The students who are studying overseas in Midwestern and Monroe and Grambling and University of West Indies, you are sitting at a bench now, at a desk and a chair, or in the library now, because of the CBI funds and the manner in which we'll be able to manage the CBI funds to the greater good of the country. So these things that we're very committed to it. We're very committed to enhancing the infrastructure. Obviously, everything will not happen overnight because there's a process. The building back with greater resilience and so forth will take some time. It will be costlier, but we believe that's the only path for us to follow if we are true believers that climate change is real. And as I've said to the international community, this is a truth that we have lived, and we will take appropriate actions as citizens to ensure that when these storms come, that we can withstand them. I mean, in a matter of weeks, we were faced with 3 approaching storms in quick succession. One cannot imagine if one had hit us. Thank God none did. But we have to prepare ourselves so that our anxiety levels can be certainly lower when the storms are coming. So, thank you very much for being in the press. I wanted you to see for yourself, because you have so much fake news going, and there's so many idle people on Facebook and social media that who are only bent on negatives, So, they'll go in a garbage tin and take a picture and post it and say that's how Dominica is looking, rather than promoting the country, and beauty of the country and what we have to offer as a nation, and to encourage people to come to visit us and to live their foreign currency here, to expand the economy. We are bent on negatives, but we have to be focused on what we need to do for the people, and that's what we're doing. And our position as a government is that we will do our best, and then we'll leave the rest to the Lord.
People in Dominica need to know that Prime Minister Skerritt is a world leader. He's teaching the rest of the world how to make our people safe. He and Pope Francis are almost saying the same thing, that we need to protect the poor and the vulnerable. We need to rebuild our cities and our communities and our villages so that they can withstand these terrible storms. But what Prime Minister Skerritt is doing is not just in Dominica, but it's all over the world. He's having influence, because we're going to look at Dominica like the point of a spear, which is the thing that leads first into solving this problem. We're very proud. I'm very proud. We had the flag raising here for Dominica for so many years. And I was always proud to host all the bigwigs in their beautiful Scotch plaid outfits and their Scotch plaid ties to come here. And now I know why people are so proud of Dominica, because there's so many good things happening there. And hats off to Prime Minister Skerritt and all the leaders of the great community of Dominica.
Bouncing back fast and leaving no one behind. That's what Commonwealth of Dominica Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt is all about. Dominicans call him simply Skerritt. Skerritt was born with the need for speed. Skerritt broke a world speed record by being the first person born in the 70s to become head of government. On January 8, 2004, Roosevelt Skerritt became the Guinness certified youngest and the second youngest prime minister of all time. And he has since made his mark by including everyone, man and woman, adult and child, black and Kalinago. And he is responding so well to climate change, particularly in the area of shelter, that he has been recognized globally. Never before has one Dominica Prime Minister been so totally identified with the total reconstruction of the land of beauty as has Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt. As a matter of fact, Prime Minister Skerritt's own official residence was among the first to fall victim to Maria. But he knew at that very moment, walking from his residence at Mount Daniel towards the heart of Roseau, Dominica's quaint capital, that he was put in this very position at this very moment to do precisely this, build back Dominica better. But guess what? Not only did Prime Minister Skerritt begin the post-Hurricane Maria reconstruction, Prime Minister Skerritt has been seeing the post-Maria reconstruction all the way through, starting with rallying the fighting spirit of the Dominican people through the awakening the conscience of the international community to the dangers that climate change pose for small island developing states like Dominica.
You know, I don't understand how the little island of Dominica can hold all of Prime Minister Skerritt's immense thoughts, because he has a world vision that's all inside of a tiny little island nation, the Nature Island. It's a beautiful island. It should be teaching the whole world, and I can't think of anybody who's better at teaching the whole world than Prime Minister Skerritt and what he's done. I put on my Facebook page his speech to the United Nations, and it moved me. And I think that he's a world leader. He is, they say, boxing way out of the weight class of Dominica. You know, it's a tiny nation, but he's on a world stage.
After Erica, I was living up to the 7th, at myself alone, on my bed for the time being. From there, the night, the landslide came down, rest on the wall of the bed where I was sleeping. Around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, I heard somebody knocking at my door, calling me, Granny, Granny, get up and see what is happening outside. I turned my eyes. I tried pushing the window that was over my bed. The window could not open. The scent of dirt and dirty water. The person still continued calling. I woke up. I ran to my sitting room. When I look outside, all I see was mud, water, deepness. When I ran outside, I shouted, Papa, about you. And then when I look, I ran outside with my pyjama on me, water and dirt was beginning with my knee. I say, where? Well, the Lord has come to us right now. I ran outside. And we stood there, 5 of us, and another neighbor of mine at my side of the bush. I saw exactly the sled that come down and cover 119 inhabitants over me. I saw that live and direct from there. When I turned again, I saw the one that come down on cooperative distillery, live and direct, and the river and dirt that come down. And we stood there. We stood there watching. People start to scream, and then later on in the afternoon, we saw a group of people coming out. All I will say to them, the Lord has given us a second chance. You have a shelter that the government has provided for us, or if you are being sheltered at somebody else's home, please take it and go to a place where we will be safe until the government has given you a shelter over here.
So the Georgetown area was really developed out of an extension of the Glanvilla area, which really belonged to these industries back in the 1960s, early 70s, when these industries used to run the banana industry in Dominica, owned several banana estates. So Picard area was really a banana estate owned by this industry, and the people of Glanvilla worked on that estate on the east. So when this eventually left Dominica, they left the lands of Georgetown as an extension of the residential area of Glanvilla, the people of Glanvilla. So that's why we're very happy to see Honorable Dr. Skerritt developing this area, housing for young single mothers, the elderly, persons who hitherto were really under the burden of renting a monthly rental and having to fill out the responsibility of caring for the children. And so this residential area was given to them, apartments, homes, free of charge. And that is what the Labour Party has always been about, way back after the party was formed by our founder, that is what the Labour Party is. In fact, its principle was to really lift the masses and the lower class up into the middle class. And that's what we're doing with the development of these schools, not only in Georgetown but throughout the country.
At the moment, we are in the final stages of Bellevue Chopin, which is 353 residences. In Cotton Hill, we're building 68, which is 44 3-bed, 24 2-bed. In Georgetown here, we're building 68 in the first phase, which is 44 3-bed and 24 2-bed. Then we're presently under construction at the moment in Castle Bruce, which is 64 apartments. Different design from this, they're actually bigger than this. And then after that, Grand Fond, we've got 64 apartments there. La Plaine, we have 66 apartments. San Sever, we have 64. And Delis, we have 64. And we've also started foundations now in Grand Bay, the Nurse Charles development, and that's 30 residencies down there. We've got 32 residencies to go in Jimmet, and we also have 32 residencies to go in Stock Farm. Yes, and then we are very quickly starting work in Upper Riverbank, which is next to the Forestry Commission building opposite the grammar school. And there we're going to put in 25 residences and 10 retail units.
You know, we're very excited to be here at the Kempinski. Tremendous progress has been made. Obviously, as you know, we've been told the opening will be in October. There are already guests booked and reserved to be here for October. You would have heard from the general manager of Kempinski that within 5 days or so, they got quite a number of bookings, and the bookings are increasing as the days go by. So it's a good positive sign that in a matter of weeks, the Kempinski Dominica will be able to attract such an interest. So it's a major plus for us. And of course, you have the other hotels in Portsmouth, the Anichi Marriott is well on its way to, and they'll be open in 2020. But and of course with Secret Bay, with the proposed expansion of Secret Bay by 42 additional villas, so Portsmouth certainly will be a great hub.
Standing here today, I am proud to see the country's tourism product being elevated to a level that surpasses what we dreamed of, to be at the level that we can now compete with the best. More importantly, I am proud to see this country's tourism product receive yet another jewel in its crown to the benefit of the citizens of this country. From the moment of the groundbreaking for this resort 4 years ago, Dominicans have been employed and will continue to play key roles in the daily operation of its 160-room resort. I have never been one to be starstruck, but I assure you that I'll be smiling wider than anyone here when I read the foreign tabloid newspapers and see photographs of various footballers and movie stars vacationing in Dominica on the newly enhanced beachfront here at the Kempinski Resort. Because this is our reality, now that we have a world-renowned 5-star resort which complements the beauty and attractions of this island. The onus now is on all of us to ensure that we make the most of the opportunities which will inevitably present themselves as we welcome more persons to this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to sincerely thank Mohammed Asaria and his team at Range Development, who left no stone unturned and pushed hard to see this project through to completion. I also want to tell you, Mohammed, that Dominica appreciates what you have managed to achieve with our CBI program. Through your efforts and that of Kamal, you have absolutely helped to move our hotel and service sector to the next level. The government and Mohammed and Range enjoyed a very constructive, harmonious relationship throughout the span of the construction of the hotel up to today, our opening ceremony. Let us continue on our march toward achieving the targets we have set for ourselves for the greater benefit of this country, the Commonwealth of Dominica. May God bless the Kempinski Carpet Resort and Spa, its management, staff, and all the hard-working Dominicans who will provide the services to keep our guests happy. And I want to say to my Dominican citizens that we have to continue to embrace the CBI program and recognize the important contribution that those who apply to become citizens of Dominica make to our overall economic and social advancement. And if we're to remove these investments in our country and indeed the wider region, we can understand the continued challenges which we'll have in this region. So it's a major source of economic benefit. But for me, from a philosophical standpoint, I believe that Dominica is, as a small island nation, is making a huge contribution to the world by providing citizenship to so many across the world who, because of circumstance, have certain challenges or who may have been born into a state of statelessness. And I think we have to look at our program beyond just the economic benefit, but recognizing as an island nation the contribution we're making to the world and to citizenship around the world and creating this global village and ensuring that the global peace and brotherhood and sisterhood can coexist. And we have to look at this. And I want to thank all of you, the developers and promoters, and so many of you who I see in the audience who are proud citizens of Dominica, to move your vacation to the Commonwealth of Dominica. Going to other countries is not allowed or encouraged. So we'll see you here many times again. Thank you very much, and indeed an honor to be here.
Jungle Bay, which was destroyed by Tropical Storm Erica, and which has now been relocated to the west coast. Overlooking Soufriere, Jungle Bay is an award-winning adventure and wellness resort located on the nature island of the Caribbean. Design vacation with the perfect blend of adventure, delicious organic local cuisine, spa, pampering, and yoga to help rejuvenate you. Jungle Bay's staff may well be the most hospitable local host you've ever met. This leading Dominica luxury hotel ranked number 3 on TripAdvisor's top 25 Caribbean hotels and has an estimated international reputation for its ecological friendly features.
Hi, welcome to Jungle Bay. I'm Sam Raphael. I just wanted to kind of chat with you for a quick second and come and let your stress go and enjoy nature, enjoy adventure, enjoy hiking, enjoy the many, many things that this beautiful island, Dominica, has to offer, and certainly Jungle Bay has to offer. We were located on the other side of the island in terms of the latitude, or the longitude. The latitude, it was pretty much right across from where we are. We were in the southeast. And the tropical storm Erica struck. And we were thinking of rebuilding at the old location, but there were a number of factors. One was the access issue, which the road through Piditsavan, which was the shorter way to Rosso and was the secondary entrance and exit, was no longer available. And considering other factors, we were in an expansion mode. The old site was really too small. Should we go ahead and rebuild there and maybe have to look at building another property somewhere? Just decided to find a place that can accommodate a larger Jungle Bay, and Monakuma Soufriere was a perfect choice. You know, it had a lot of the qualities that we were looking for, something fairly remote but fairly accessible at the same time. The fact that we're now really close to the Caribbean Sea, where our guests can actually go swimming in the sea, was certainly an attraction. Also all the diving and all of that activity, that was good, and the infrastructure is pretty good here. So we found a piece of property. I have to say the head of Invest Dominica is the person that first suggested that I look here, because she was doing the evaluation, trying to help me find a spot, and together we felt that this was the ideal place for the new Jungle Bay. Well, you know, we're delighted, especially from the local Dominican people that we've got. Whether it's for dinner or lunch, or we've got the day pass where people come and spend the day and use the pool.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking into the day pass.
Yeah, use the activities and so on. A lot of people spend their anniversaries, that's quite common, or birthdays. So you see so many Dominicans coming in here, and it's so nice to have our own people come and enjoy, you know, Jungle Bay. And then when they're asked about it, they can say, well, this is where I would recommend that you stay. We have a number of foreign guests. And when we ask them, how did you know about Jungle Bay? They say, well, this is the first time we've been to Dominica. We never heard of it. But a colleague of ours that works with us, she's from Dominica, and she talks about the island, and we asked her where to stay. Well, that colleague's sister or friend probably stayed here. And they told from that experience. So supporting our local community and welcoming our local community and the local people being a part of Jungle Bay in terms of the enjoyment and so on, is an integral part of who we are. Certainly we welcome our visitors from far away or from nearby islands like Guadeloupe, Martinique, etc. And we have packages and incentives for them also. But we always try to have a little something for the Dominican people so that our people can come and enjoy our island and feel proud about it and feel good about it. You don't have to go away all the time and deal with TSA and all of those. It's not fun to travel so much anymore. You can actually escape on your own island and come and enjoy a nice spa treatment and treat yourself or your friends or your spouse to that experience. So that's been good, the support over the past 6 months that we've been with.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
The State House, located in Roseau, is the official residence of the President of Dominica. Previously, it was used as the official residence of the colonial governors of Dominica. The residence of the British governors on the island, and for a time the French, is situated on a low hill to the south of the commercial center of Roseau. Written accounts from the 1790s make mention of various plants and an avenue of trees in the grounds of the government house. The gardens here have suffered periodically from hurricanes. Many fine trees were destroyed by main storms of the 20th century in 1916, 1930, and 1979. Sir William Young was sworn in as governor of Dominica on 14th November 1770. He was responsible for, among other things, directing the construction of the first government house, which he built near the Fort Young Hotel. Once the official residence of Queen's representative, the building has been the home to the President of Dominica since independence in 1978. The President of Dominica, Charles Savre, and Mrs. Clara Savre moved into the new State House in March 17, 2014. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt has described the new State House as one which will signify Dominica's growth as an independent nation and pride for its people. The State House, one of the projects negotiated between the Dominica and Chinese government.
Sunshine, oh, hills and rivers and beautiful.
Douglas Charles Airport, formerly known as the Melville Hall Airport, is an airport located on the northeast coast of Dominica, 2 miles northwest of Marigot. It is about 1 hour away from the second largest city, Portsmouth. It is one of only 2 airports in the island nation of Dominica, the other being Kenfield Airport, located 3 miles northeast of Roseau. The Melville Hall area was chosen as the site of Dominica's main airport in 1944, for it was the only place on the island with extensive flat land. It was only after the completion of the Transinsular Road from Bells to Marigot in 1958 that work on the airport began. The facility opened on November 22, 1961, and was first served by Dakotas from BWIA. In 2006, an airport expansion and upgrade program began, which entailed the expansion of the terminal building to include a new departure lounge, customs and immigration section, and check-in area. The runway and apron were also at landing, and navigation aids were installed. These enhancements had an extended completion date of mid-2010. The first ever night landing was conducted on 9th August 2010 by Windsor. Regular night landings at the airport began on September 20th, 2010. The first flight from Liat flew from VC Bird International Airport in Antigua. The airport was renamed from Melville Hall Airport to Douglas Charles Airport on 27th October 2014 in honor of Prime Minister Rosie Douglas and Pierre Charles. The construction of the hospital was started in the year 2015, and today the first phase is ready to use. The ribbon cutting ceremony of the event had the presence of the President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Charles Savary, Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerritt, Minister Skerritt, and Chinese ambassador, as well as senior engineers. The hospital is equipped with advanced technology and facilities capable to treat the major diseases.
See the Princess Margaret Hospital. The transformation of this hospital now, which is, I am saying, probably 2 best in the Caribbean, because this government has a vision, a foresight, and their aim is to help all Dominicans, regardless of your creed, your color, or your education.
Besides this, the Dominica Chinese Hospital will facilitate people older than 60 years and children below the age of 18 with free medical facilities. The $40 million new national hospital is a grant from the government of the People's Republic of China. It is part of the government of Dominica's plan to advance the country's healthcare system in infrastructure and otherwise. Dominica State College, formerly Clifton Dupiny Community College, is a national college located in the northern part of Roseau in the Stock Farm area of the city. It is located just to the southeast of the Stock Farm Prison and northeast of Princess Margaret Hospital. It was named after the pioneer of universal education in Dominica, Clifton Dupiny, but was re-established and renamed in September 2002. It became the product of an amalgamation of the Technical College, originally established in 1972, and the Sixth Form College. This merger was the result of the Dominican government's attempt to unite all tertiary level education in one campus through the Dominica State College Act of 2002. The college has merged offers a gamut of educational programs in the field of both traditional and vocational subjects like hospitality and tourism, nursing and agriculture, and teacher training. The new state-of-the-art Dominica State College. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt says Dominicans would not have to travel abroad to earn a bachelor's degree. The new state-of-the-art college is funded by the People's Republic of China, our hope of taking Dominica to the next level. Windsor Park is a multi-purpose stadium in Roseau, Dominica. It serves as a national stadium and is used mostly for cricket matches. Other uses have included the World Creole Music Festival, the finals of the Calypso competition, and the Miss Dominica pageant. The stadium is one of the projects promised by the People's Republic of China to Dominica as a result of a memorandum of understanding during the establishment of ties between Dominica and China. The stadium is viewed as a gift at a cost of 33 million EC dollars from the government of the People's Republic of China to the government and people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. On 7 February 2007, work on the Windsor Park Stadium was completed. Work on the facilities to accompany the stadium resulted in the stadium not being used before May 2007, therefore missing any activities relating to Cricket World Cup 2007 held in the Caribbean. The handing over ceremony of the stadium from Chinese officials to Dominica took place on March 23rd, marking the third year of a diplomatic ties with the People's Republic of China. On 24 October 2007, the Windsor Park National Sports Stadium was officially opened with a grand ceremony. The 11th annual World Creole Music Festival was held on 25 to 27 October as the stadium's first official activity. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt immediately got back to work, this time with even more of his characteristics urgency. First, he rallied his nation's heart and optimism in solemn addresses to the nation. Then 5 days after the storm, Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt dashed off to the United Nations General Assembly, there to point finger at the Frankenstein that had visited his country. I come to you straight from the front line of the war on climate change.
Mr. President, I come to you straight from the front line of the war on climate change. With physical and emotional difficulty, I have left my bleeding nation to be with you here today because these are the moments for which the United Nations exists. Mr. President, my fellow leaders, there is no more time for conversation. There is little time left for action. While the big countries talk, the small island nations suffer. We need action, and we need it now, Mr. President.
In the past, we would prepare for one heavy storm a year. Now, thousands of storms form on a breeze in the mid-Atlantic and line up to pound us with maximum force and fury. Skerritt's impassionate speech was a plea for the funds to make Dominica into the world's first fully climate resilient nation. It requires not replacing what was lost, but building for a future where climate change all but guarantee a storm of Maria scale will strike again.
Mr. President, we dug graves today in Dominica. We buried loved ones yesterday, and I am sure that as I return home tomorrow, we shall discover additional fatalities as a consequence of this encounter. Our homes are flattened, our buildings roofless, our water pipes smashed, and road infrastructure destroyed. Our hospital is without power, and schools have disappeared beneath the rubble. Our crops are uprooted. Where there was green, there is now only dust and dirt. The desolation is beyond imagination. Mr. President, fellow leaders, the stars have fallen. Eden is broken. The nation of Dominica has come here to declare an international humanitarian emergency. one that is centered in Dominica, but also encompasses many of our neighbors, including our sister isle, Antigua, which had to evacuate its citizens from Barbuda. Dominicans, Mr. President, have been responsible members of the global community. We have co-joined all of the major international battles, from the abolition of forced labor to the protection of patents. Yet today, 72,000 Dominicans lie on the front line in a war they did not choose, with extensive casualties from a war that they did not start. The time has come for the international community to make a stand and to decide whether it will be shoulder to shoulder with those suffering the ravages of climate change worldwide, whether we can mitigate the consequences of unprecedented increases in sea temperatures and levels, whether to help us rebuild sustainable livelihoods, or whether the international community will merely show some pity now and then flee, relieved to know that this time it was not you. We are in shock, but we are not stooped. We cry, but do not despair. We will rise because Dominican people are strong, because Caribbean people are resilient. We will rebuild our Garden of Eden again for our children and for future generations. Mr. President, as a result of Tropical Storm Erica in 2015, we committed to creating a National Vulnerability Risk and Resilience Fund to improve the ability of our government to respond to the impact of natural disasters. That facility has not yet been capitalized. We intended to place funds from our own treasury on an annual basis, but our capacity to earn has now been significantly compromised, even before we have gotten it off the ground. Today, we need all the things required in a natural disaster that has affected an entire nation. We need water, food, and emergency shelter. We need roads, bridges, and new infrastructure. But we also need capabilities of delivery. I call upon those with substantial military capacities to lend us the rescue and rebuilding equipment that may be standing idle, waiting for a war. Let Dominica today be that war, because currently our landscape reflects a zone of war. The battle we face has brought us to our knees. We need resources now so that we may move with purpose to the task of rebuilding our beautiful island home. We will need to rebuild homes and villages. We will need to rebuild communities, schools, roads, and bridges. We will need to rebuild a country, and we cannot do it alone. Above all else, Mr. President and members of this august body, we need you. We need your humanity, and we need you now to act truly as our United Nations. I thank you for the courtesy of listening to me.
Next, he gathered his officers, Dominica's dependable public officers, and in broadcast meeting after broadcast meeting, he put on display that rebuild Dominica only better than before. He visited community after community, inspiring a spirit of self-reliance and resilience. Meanwhile, the international community was responding, rallying to Dominica's side in its period of most dire need. Skerritt played host to United Nations Secretary General, former President Bill Clinton, to name a few. 2 years later, Dominica is back. Yes, even better than before. The old single economic mainstay, agriculture, is roaring back, as one can be seen by the wide range of produce at the Rosa Market, which is once again one of the most varied and colorful farmers' market in the world.
The agricultural sector in Dominica is booming. After Maria, the amount of plantains, Tanya, Dashin, I see up to today, the Ministry of Agriculture is doing a fantastic job. And we have food that we cannot even eat now. We have yams, we have pumpkin, we have everything, name it. Dominica has come back stronger and even better than before.
A lot of people don't realize, because the news we hear about the CBI program, sometimes it's either something bad or, you know, some type of propaganda one way or the other. But the bottom line is it's a program like the same that exists in 5 of the 6 OECS countries in the Caribbean, many European countries, and many countries worldwide, where governments try to attract direct investment, or they try to attract high net worth people to be citizens of the country in exchange for the investment, either in the private sector or in the public sector. So Dominica has, many people don't realize, one of the most successful CBI programs, you know, out there, both in terms of the client interest and in terms of the success, the achievements of the program. In terms of the things that have been done, tangible things, we see all the infrastructure that's being built, bridges and roads, and I mean, just the rebuild of the island after Hurricane Maria was largely funded by the CBI program. Even where grants were, you know, committed by the international community, we saw where the cash flow, because the grant funding sometimes is very slow, and so the cash flow to actually get the projects on stream, you know, was needed before the grants would come through. And since we have a water system here in the Superior area that differed the British Foreign Aid Agency, you know, they provided the funding, but they didn't really provide cash. So the cash flow had to come in and to build. So all around the country we saw public sector projects. We've seen a tremendous amount of housing since tropical Storm America, where people have actually moved in and they're being built all over the island. You know, housing is a basic need, and these are high quality housing that are resilient to windstorms and things like that. So it really is upgrading the standard, the quality of housing of the people significantly. We see, for instance, the geothermal plant that's almost finished, that's being constructed in the CBI program and so on. So Dominica, you know, we've been able to, the government, the Prime Minister, have been able to utilize the CBI program to improve the living standards of the people, improve the infrastructure, and even in projects like Jungle Bay and Pinsky and all the hotels that are being built and funded from investors that come through the CBI program. That's, you know, supporting the development of the economy of the island of Dominica in the long term through the CBI fund. You have other islands with successful CBI program, but I don't think if you dollar for dollar, any other island CBI program is as effective as that. I would give them very high marks, certainly with the rebuild and the use of the CBI to rebuild. You know, everything is challenged, everything has their ups and downs, and when you live on an island, it's easy to assume that you have all the problems, you know, and everything else is great everywhere. Every other island feels the same way, but I think as I travel a lot and I study the Caribbean, and I would say the recovery since Tropical Storm America and Hurricane Maria is almost miraculous that Dominica has gone through. So this is very, very high marks of the government, the Prime Minister, being that he's the leader. I mean, if he doesn't do everything, there are other people involved, but you know, as the leader, if something goes wrong, you take the fall. So if something goes right, you have to get credit also. So he's shown tremendous leadership in that area, for sure.
I agree.
Thanks to Dominica's Citizenship by Investment program, Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerritt, continues his government program delivering free modern houses to Dominicans. In less than a month after Prime Minister Skerritt won his 4th consecutive term as Prime Minister, he delivered brand new homes to residents of Cotton Hill, Portsmouth. This is in keeping with his government Housing Revolution program to build 5,000 new homes in his new term to house homeless Dominicans. The houses are granted to residents free of charge. The program is an outgoing one that has already benefited residents of Petit Savin, Cassibruce, La Plaine, Grand Fond, and Portsmouth. Whole communities have been rebuilt, families have been resettled, and Dominica is showing her traditional kindness and hospitality. But probably most amazing of all, and definitely newest in the transformation of Dominica's economy, before Hurricane Maria, Dominica had the largest agricultural sector in the region, but the smallest tourism sector in the region. Dominica still presents the largest agricultural sector in the region, but judging by the mushrooming of building projects setting up in the infrastructure for tourism, the old faithful agricultural sector is no longer alone in fueling Dominica's economy and social development. The formerly single economic pillar, agriculture, now for the first time in Dominica's history, has a partner in tourism, the beauty of a new Dominica. When Hurricane Maria pummeled her way through the Caribbean in 2017, Dominica was among the islands that sustained an immense amount of damage. But the tiny country, dubbed the region's nature island, has now rounded with exceptional new offerings for tourists. Eco Hideaway Secret Bay, perched on the northwest side of the isle where you feel as though nothing else exists in the world, reopened last year with a new on-site restaurant, wellness center, and 2-story villa to join its existing 5 that have since been revamped. This past October, Kempinski Hotel Group made its first foray into the Caribbean with Cabrit's Resort and Spa. Al Anici Resort and Spa, part of Marriott's Autograph collection, is slated to open next year. Tranquility Beach Resort and Creo Collection by Hilton has also been announced and will be arriving in the near future. Trek through its rainforest, hike up to the world's 2nd largest boiling lake, sail around the tiny island, and enjoy this lesser-known side of the Caribbean. Dominica was listed in the 1st position of the CNN's list of Caribbean islands to visit in 2020, and ranked as the top Caribbean destination in the 4th position in the CNN 20 Best Places to Visit in 2020. God bless Dominica.
Island of Dominic. Bye-bye. See you guys next time. All right.